There was a whole family of questions around students who don't enjoy maths, students who have had bad experiences of maths, students who detest maths, I think was the exact language one person used. The first one is just to acknowledge this will be a lot of kids, right? This will be a lot of kids. Don't be fazed by it. Don't be like, oh no, what will I do? This is the work, right? Teaching is hard. That's why you get paid for it, right? All jobs have the part of it that are challenging. For me, actually, I've come to a point in my career, and I acknowledge this will take some time for you, but those students who really, really dislike maths, for me, I view them as, yes, you're my challenge, right? If my task was to get this student from A to Z, from I hate maths to I love maths in 45 minutes, I'm in some trouble, right? But you've got a year with these students. That's a really long time. You get to understand what makes this student tick. You get to understand what's the journey this student took to get to where you are and why they've had such a bad, people don't start off hating maths. Like if you go to a young child and you ask them, do you hate numbers? Do you hate patterns? None of them will say that. They'll be like, they're just fun to play with, right? But somewhere along the way, they end up having an experience. It might be that they changed school systems and there was a gap between what they were learning and what they were presented with. And they're like, I got no idea what's going on. I'm just completely confused. Or they're now learning maths in a different language. And what a surprise that they're struggling along, right? Maybe they just had a particular teacher who never quite connected with them. And we all know that the teacher in the room, that you are the single most decisive factor for how your students engage or don't engage with a subject. Maths, or any other KLA, right? Maybe they had a bad experience. It's not that they hate you. It's that no one likes feeling dumb. No one likes feeling like an idiot. And if you come into a class where you're like, I've had 4 years of being put in the bottom maths class. I've been labeled, I've been told by my teachers, I've been told by my parents, you're bad at this. Just do it until you don't have to anymore and then escape, right? Which, by the way, now that mathematics is probably going to be compulsory for year 11 and 12 students, it's a very small group of students, right? Take the time to understand why it is that someone has had such a bad time. That's the first step. Do you know, after a certain age, students expect you, as the maths teacher, to not care about them as a human being, which is really sad, isn't it? Isn't that tragic, right? You can be the teacher who actually is interested in who they are and in helping them get along, right? Actually making some progress. Remember I was talking about that 8-year academic range before, right? So that student who comes into your year 7 class, they don't know their times tables. So when they come to fractions, decimals, and percentages, and you ask them to find common denominators, they're going to be in a bit of trouble, right? Now, what that year 7 student will do, because it's not new to them that they've been struggling with maths, right? So what do? Often what they will do is they will mask their inability with maths by, yeah, I know the answer, it's fine, right? And it takes some time to actually scrutinize that and understand, oh, you really don't know what's going on. They mask because when teachers find out they're not very good at this, generally they get in trouble, right? It's like, hey, you should know this by now. And they get put into this pigeonhole of, I'm the bad student. No one likes being in that spot, right? So how could we change that? It's not that crazy. If you were a student who was really struggling with a subject and you met the tutor, the lecturer, the teacher, what would you want them to do? You'd want them to help you at the place where you are. And I think that's often the key. Like, mathematics is relentlessly hierarchical. If you want to help a student get back on the train, you've actually got to go back to the place where they are. Go back to the station where they are and help them board again. Now, there are other questions that get to, well, how do you do that? How do you have time to do that? There are lots of practical suggestions I can give, but just let's acknowledge there's a dynamic there that if you can convey to a student, I'm for you. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to make you feel worse about that subject that you're already not very good at. You've already done 80% of the job, because students want to be good at things, don't we? So therefore we can help them to do that. If you can show them, if you can demonstrate, if you can prove that you're a person who will support them as they do that, that's most of your work done.